Hi, this is George from GJJ Games, and I am going to give you a quick overview of Race to the Moons. Race to the Moons is a worker placement game for 1 to 5 players about trying to build rockets and research technology to be the first team to colonize the moons around a planet in the Gamma Leporis star system. The game is played over a series of rounds, and in each round, players will place their workers on several different action locations in order to build rockets, research technology, earn money, raise their income, and do all sorts of things in an effort to launch their rockets and make it to the colonization. So there are 3 types of technologies that can be researched. We've got journey technology, which gets you to the system. Then the arrival and landing technology that gets you from orbit around the moon down onto the surface. And then the colonization technology, which lets you build an outpost and finally colonize the moon. As you build up in each one of those tracks, your chance of success at each stage in the mission increases. So you want to balance building your technology with building your rockets. You got to have rockets in order to launch. So the way a round progresses is players take their workers. At the beginning of the game, you start with 4 workers. You can increase your popularity to gain additional workers, up to 12 in a game. But you can place 1 or more workers onto one of the locations on the board. The first location is research, and there is a cost to each location that is in the reddish banner up at the top. So for example, in research, it costs $2 per worker that I place there. And then the benefit that you get from going to that location is in the large purple area. So in this case, it is to advance 1 cube, 1 space on the research track per worker that I place there. So if I place 3 of my workers there, it is going to cost me $6. So I would spend that, return it to the bank, and I would get to advance 3 cubes, 1 space each on the research track. If you are the first player to go to a location, you also get a bonus. So in the example of the research, the bonus is to advance 1 research track, 1 extra space. So I could then advance 1 of these, 1 more. Once a research cube falls off of this track, then you get to advance 1 of your research tracks here. For journey, arrival and landing, and colonization. You can also train your astronauts. When you train them, it gives you a bonus into the dice rolls as you are making your way through your mission stages. So the different locations are research, production, lets you advance your rockets through the factories. Upgrade facilities, lets you get better factories and research labs. So the research labs have shorter tracks, and the factories, the track shortens, and then you actually have 2 rockets that you can be building at the same time. In addition to upgrading, you can also purchase additional ones. So you can have multiple research labs, multiple factories to increase your ability to research and produce faster. You can also build some other types of facilities. So you have launch stations that let you launch rockets. You need to have a launch station in order to launch, or you can pay to use an opponent's launch station. You can also build a credit union that gets you money and lets you increase your income, and a drone workshop, which lets you launch a drone along the track in order to gain technology that way. So instead of using your research lab, you can use your drone in order to launch, to gain technology. But that costs money to do that. The next location you go to is the publicity campaign, which lets you increase your popularity along the popularity track here. There's a cost to do it, depending on how many workers you place there and how far up the track you are moving. But the farther up your track, the more workers you gain, so you'll be able to have more workers in future rounds. You can also go to raise funds, which lets you gain some money right away, but also increase your income level. So during the income phase of each round, you will earn more money. And then there is also the invest action. Now, the invest action has to be the last action that you take, so you place all the workers that you have left there, and you'll have a choice of either gaining some money for those workers, or you can place rockets into the outsourcing track. And when you go into outsourcing, you place a rocket on the outsourcing track, and then as other players place rockets on the track, they bump you down, and then there's a cost to actually build that rocket when you take it off of that spot. And every round, these advance as well. So the more people that invest in production outsourcing, and the longer you wait throughout rounds, you can get rockets for cheaper. So playing the long game and waiting. So that is the options when you invest. When you take certain options, you can also earn Save the Day tokens. Save the Day tokens, and you can build resources when you are in production. So Save the Day tokens and resources, as well as training, help you mitigate bad dice rolls on your mission. So what exactly is the mission? After everybody has placed their workers and we are done with a round, anybody that has built rockets and has used the mission control action to launch rockets or to advance from certain stages that require it, you can roll dice to see how your rockets are progressing. So as we get later in the game, we might have several players that have rockets in several different areas on the board. And you want to try and launch one of your rockets into the next location. So in order to move into a location, you have to roll dice and make this value. So depending on the level of technology that you have in each area, you are going to roll different dice. So at level 2, you would be rolling 2 d8s to try and reach a 14, which is going to be pretty hard to do. But as your technology increases, let's say I was at level 5, level 5 says I'd be rolling 2 d12s and a d6. And so that would get me to, I rolled an 8, 9, 10, 11, which isn't quite enough there. Save the Day tokens can be used to either re-roll dice or to add boost dice to your roll. So let's just say I added a boost dice because I paid for it with a Save the Day token. Now I've got 8, and 8 is 16, and I would succeed getting to that level. If you roll high enough, you can also get a benefit. In this case, it would be earning a Save the Day token if you roll an 18 or higher. If you don't roll high enough, so let's say that I had my original 11, then there are penalties. So you might have to go back to where you started. You just don't progress. Sometimes you go back where you started and you lose a little bit of popularity. If you roll really horrible, you could lose the rocket. It could explode. But you also gain a level of technology. So you learn from the crash. So there's several different strategies to the game. You can build lots of rockets and drones, launch them, crash them, and earn your research that way until you finally make it. You can play the long game of slowly researching and building up your stuff and then launching 1 or 2 rockets at the end and trying to move quickly. So there are some levels that give you benefits where you actually get to progress extra spaces. So going from the journey departure space to journey leg 1, if you roll high enough, 26 to 33 or a 34, you actually can progress extra spaces. So if I was trying to go from here to here and I rolled a 28, say, I would actually skip that and land here. And if I rolled really well and got a 34 or higher, I would jump all the way up to here. So there are ways to progress faster on some of these tracks. And then as soon as somebody reaches the colonization and successfully colonizes there, the game ends, and players get to add up points based on how far along on the track that their rockets are. So you get points for colonizing and then reaching each one of these locations. So the points are shown in the circles there, so you know how many points you'll get for each rocket that's there. You also get points for rockets that you built, even if you haven't launched them yet. And then if you've maxed out on your popularity, you can get some points for that. And then maxing out on technology, you can get some points. As you progress through the technology, you can also earn patents on the technology. So you can earn patent certificates. So for the different locations, which give you bonus money, and also give you the opportunity to sell that technology to other players so they can quickly advance by paying for it, the technology. So there's a lot of different paths to victory in this game, a lot of different ways to make it there. There is some luck in it with rolling the dice because space travel is risky, but there are plenty of ways through the save the day tokens or spending resources or increasing your astronauts training, plenty of different ways that you can mitigate bad rolls and boost your rolls to get higher. There is also a solo mode that lets you play against the AI. So at the beginning of each turn you roll a die and that will tell you what the AI faction does, and you have to get to colonize before the AI does, and then also have a more successful program. So getting to be the first one to colonize is a good way to try and win, but it's not necessarily going to get you the win because you do get points from having rockets farther along the track. So somebody that only has one rocket out here on the colonization and somebody else was really close and had 2 rockets on the outpost and did much better with their money management and stuff, could potentially win. So colonization is going to get you a huge boost, but it's not a guaranteed victory. So there are lots of different ways to win. And that's a quick overview of Race to the Moons. It's unscripted because I'm just trying to get this out quickly. But I hope you have the opportunity to take a closer look at the game and play the game at some point. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you very much. Have a great day.